Mike Lanesman and welcome to another video tutorial.
This video tutorial will deal with smart objects in Adobe Photoshop. A smart object is an extremely intelligent method of replacing content within an existing design. So let's create our existing design and then we will see how we use smart objects to our benefit. We will do this by using the File menu and choosing the New command. I have used the web preset from the presets that are available, and I have selected the standard presets that are available. These are the basic standard web presets that are available to us, and I would require an 800 by 600 pixel document to be created using a white background. Document is now created. I would like to create a gradient background for this design. For this, we have a gradient tool available to us in the toolbar. Clicking on the tool now shows us all the options in the options bar. The options for the selected tool. Clicking on this icon will open up the gradient editor. Now the gradient editor allows us to edit a gradient or to create a new gradient. Let's have a look at one of the presets that we have from Adobe, which is the red-green preset. Simply saying OK and drawing with the gradient tool will draw, as expected, a gradient that graduates from red to green. I would like to create our own custom gradient. Clicking on this icon again, and we now look at the options of editing the gradient. These are called the color stops. The color stop, clicking on the red, shows us the red option. Clicking on that icon invokes the color picker. This allows me to now go and select a color. I would like to create a light blue color for the start of our gradient. And say OK. We now notice the red has been changed to blue, and I would like to change the green to a dark blue, which I do by selecting a blue color over there. So we've now edited the gradient and we can say OK. Now I would like to draw this custom gradient. Please remember that if you would like to constrain this gradient to a straight line, hold the Shift key and that enables the gradient to be drawn at a 90-degree angle. As per our instruction, the light blue to dark blue gradient has been created. To proceed with our design, I am going to bring in an image of a model which I have opened already. This image I find is too large for our intended usage on our final document, so I need to change the size of this model. The way we change the size of the contents of a layer is to use Edit, Free Transform. We can use the Command plus T or Control plus T key on a Windows computer. Now, we need to zoom out on our document window as this image is clearly still way too large. So we can achieve this by another shortcut of holding the Option key or the Alt key on a Windows computer and using the scroll wheel on your mouse to scroll out. It is exceptionally important to note we never resize from a side, because that would lead to a lot of unhappy people in the world, as it distorts without constraining. We always will achieve a transformation that is constrained by dragging on a top or a bottom corner node. But that simply wouldn't be good enough. We need to hold the Shift key while we transform. The Shift key again will constrain, which means whatever I'm doing to the width, the height corresponds accordingly. But you will notice that this is only transforming the one corner. holding the Option key and the Shift key is transforming all four corners simultaneously. I will now position the first image in this design to the area that I would like it to be in, which I would say there would be nice and appropriate, and double clicking in this area over here or pressing the Enter key would commit to that transformation. The next step is to create the smart object. I will right click in this area and use the Convert to Smart Object option. I confirm that a smart object has been created by noting that little icon in the bottom right hand corner of the layer. I am now going to duplicate this smart object. I can right click and choose Duplicate Layer, or I can use the shortcut key of Command plus J. I'm going to hide this initial layer that we created, hide the visibility of the layer, and ensure that the top new duplicated layer is active. With the Move tool, I'm going to move the model to that side of the screen, and I'm going to invoke Edit Free Transform again, as I would like to make this instance a lot smaller. I hold the Option and the Shift key at the same time to reduce the scale. Double clicking in there accepts the transformation. I would now like to horizontally flip this model's position. Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Now, to demonstrate further the effect of a smart object, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a filter to this instance. I will achieve that by going under the Filter menu, and I will find under the Artistic menu Film Grain. I already have it. That is the option. I have controls. The resolution on the screen does not permit me to show them at this point, but I have controls for adjusting the option of Film Grain. So the effect has now been achieved. I'm now going to focus on the layer opacity and the layer blending mode. Now, layer blending modes determine how the pixels on one layer will interact with the pixels on the layer beneath it. For this example, I will select the overlay blending mode, and I would like to fade this effect. The effect is achieved of fading by reducing the layer opacity. And we can drop that down to about 55%. Let's have a look at creating, if we re-enable the visibility of the first layer, let's go and create a specific effect on the first layer. For this, I would want to make this image into black and white. To achieve this, I would need to desaturate this image. I will do this by adding an adjustment layer. Now, there are a couple of ways of achieving an adjustment layer. We can either use this command, this icon at the bottom of the Layers panel, and I would select the Hue Saturation Adjustment layer, or we have an adjustment panel. Simply clicking on the Hue Saturation Adjustment icon creates a Hue Saturation Adjustment layer. This is now visible by the adjustment layer being on top of the image that we wish to work on. Examining the Properties panel shows us the properties and the controls for this tool. I would like to desaturate this image. So the problem that we're faced with now is that it has desaturated the background as well. So we would need to create a clipping mask which will clip the color background back in and just retain the black and white visibility of the layer. We use this tool over here, which will create a clipping mask, and the result has been fully achieved now. The model is remaining in black and white, whereas we have brought back the color of the background. So far, so good. We're now creating the flyer for a Top Model of the Week award for a modeling agency. So I will take the type tool and I will click to create the type of Top Model of the Week. Now this can remain in place in our existing design. What's going to change is the models. So there's our existing design. We now look at the magic of a smart object. So by double-clicking on the smart object icon, will in fact open up the smart object. You will notice now that a PSB file is now available to us. The PSB file is the contents of the smart object. I have another model that I wish to replace it with. For the next week, for example, edit free transform, and we will scale it in to match the existing proportions that we require for this layer. I double click. I can hide the visibility of that layer. Now, the magic truly begins when I close the smart object itself. So I'm just moving it off to the side, and when I close the smart object that has been updated, I will definitely choose the save command. The content has been exactly exchanged. It retains the filter effect that we applied, and it retains the positioning of the models, and it retains the black and white effect that we have generated. This is how a smart object works, and I'm hoping that it proved really useful to you, as it's a really exciting feature in Photoshop. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.